Well, making their television debut right here on Tool Time, K&B and the boys and Janine, rock, let's roll.
Pete! That would be me. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
The video you just saw was the second portion in a unit that I created during student teaching entitled Art, Music, and Culture. When I first started, I asked my students what they knew, just to get a general consensus of what they already knew about music and what they were interested in learning later on in the class. From the list that we compiled on the board during the first day of school, I created the first portion of this unit, which would essentially relate art and music and the different aspects of art and music, such as sounds, melody, harmony, rhythm, and form, and relating it to things like shading and highlighting and visual rhythm, things like that. The end of that lesson would result in them creating their own musical piece using classroom instruments and having it relate to the visual art that they chose around the room, working in groups. From there, what you just saw was the second portion of this, where they would incorporate some form of culture. Obviously, this group chose America, and they were to go on a web quest, and I gave each group their own specific questions to answer based on which culture they chose. So they'd watch a movie, they would go and explore different questions and find answers using resources online and in the classroom, also working in groups. And then they would go and present, and they had they could present in any way. It could be just a formal standing up in front of the classroom and talking, or this group in particular chose to make an iMovie to present to the class. From there, they were to use GarageBand and create a completely new musical piece to incorporate their culture and their art. And this lesson lasted the entire semester that I was there. It did incorporate aspects of cross-curricular learning. I used many of the national standards for MENC. It did call for independent and group learning and critical thinking and problem-solving skills. There's this notion that a curriculum is something that you order online, and when it comes in the mail, you just read straight from the book, and it's a well thought out plan that you can follow your entire time that you're teaching. Our PowerPoint that we just viewed and our book about culture and curriculum kind of spin it in a different way, where it's not just this object that you're continuously teaching. It's not organic enough. Dr. Abrahams defines curriculum as the interaction of teachers and students in authentic and meaningful experiences, which are acknowledged as important to both of them. The book states that curriculum should be viewed as a culture, and because of that reason, it should have an interaction between the students, the teachers, the parents, and other members of the community. And I think what it's trying to say is if all of those people are coming together to reinforce what's being taught, then the student will walk away with a more meaningful experience. The way we do that is by allowing teachers to be more organic in the way that they teach. They need to be allowed to be creative and not just stick to something that they might not believe to be true in the ways that they're teaching. There's plenty of creative teachers that can spin a subject into something that they know that their students will be interested in, and they know that their students can connect to if they're just given the opportunity to present it in a different light. But because of things like standardized testing, we're not always given the opportunity to do these things. We also have to be aware of the special needs of our students, where our students are in relation to each other, and where we know that they can go individually and their potential that they can grow individually. And these are just things that teachers can actually perceive on their own in classrooms, and it might be overlooked if you're teaching strictly from a book. It states a couple themes that should be shared amongst the students, the teachers, the parents, and the community members. And those are common visions, beliefs, practices, activities, and values. If a curriculum reflects commonality amongst these things, then it will help to educate the full person, especially if it's being reinforced on each of these levels. I think our book had an excellent quote on our direction and main purpose of developing a curriculum, and I think I'm going to leave you with this. To educate a human being is not to make one a knowledgeable, productive member of society or an active, engaged citizen, but also to help each person discover the deeper meaning of his or her life. Who are we? Why are we on Earth? What is our relationship to other living beings and to the evolution of the cosmos? Education should be practiced in such a way as to encourage young people to pursue this understanding. Essentially, this starts with teaching a reverence of life. There has to be an aspect of humanity in our curriculum building. The unit that I taught specifically at student teaching did revolve around things that I knew that were of interest to my students. It also incorporated things that I knew that were important for the administrators and other members of the community. We used technology. We did use problem-solving skills. It was a welcomed vacation from writing prompts or any other kind of standardized test practicing, but they were still finding their own information, and they were actively engaged throughout the entire process. These are all important things when trying to create a curriculum, and I think that because of standardized testing, we're losing the humanity and the creativity as part of our teaching, planning, and process.